Hi guys, just coming on to talk about a video I made previously. Now that I've calmed down a little bit, because I feel like it'll be important for people to hear it. That is on the subject of panic attacks. Something which I suffer with and have done for years. This definitely helps. All the animals and all the greenery. Definitely helps being around that, and it's been scientifically proven. I wanted to kind of film it as it happened, or at least while I was still in it, you know. Which probably isn't a great idea because you can't really say much. Not great for a video, but I kind of wanted to show you because you can't really advocate for yourself. I'm just going to pick some of these while I'm here. Don't know if they reduce anxiety, but fuck, they taste amazing. That's all that matters. Down the hatch. Whoa. But yeah, it's something that I can't remember not having. Even as a small child, you know. I've always suffered with them, and I fucking hate them. Because they make me feel real weak and cowardly, you know. Because it's usually not in a very good situation. It's usually an adverse situation, and can you hold your nerve or not? And usually somehow I've been able to do that. The problem with that is people don't realise you're having them, and when you fuck up, you're inevitably going to fuck up because you can't cope, you can't concentrate. You know, the body is trying to keep you alive. Doesn't give a shit about what you have to do in work or the assignment you have to finish. All it cares about is keeping you alive, survival mode, you know. But like, I'm not dying. I'm just in a very uncomfortable situation and need to get over it. And I'm annoyed at myself that I always pull myself out of it, but I often think, like, if I just had a fucking breakdown in front of everyone, they'd know what was going on. He who shouts loudest wins. I'm just going to pick some of these in here. They're massive, those ones, and I don't just mean lovely. Cross over for a sec. Even better. A bigger one. Oh, they're everywhere. Not enough time to pick them. Oh. They've got antioxidants in them, so that's something. Where was he? So yeah, like, I realised that I haven't actually made a proper video discussing anxiety, and the main reason for that is I feel like there's so many out there already. There's more of these as well. There's so many of these out here. Some are good quality, some look like they're going to be good quality and they're not. There we go. There's so many. No, I'll have to make sure that I'm not eating too many. Restrain myself. 1 second. Found some more. That didn't last long, that restraint. But there's so many videos out there, you know. And I feel like it's even more around these ones. takes my mind off it for the time being. There's the Angelas. I'm stalling, like in the SpongeBob movie. Stalling. Yes, you are. You know, King Neptune and Mindy, Princess Mindy, aka Alan's dad, and Scarlett Johansson. I guess the one thing that I haven't really seen mentioned enough is the shame and guilt associated after you have a panic attack or you freeze. Especially if you're a man. It's not something that people openly talk about. A lot of people avoid situations and just don't put themselves in them because they're too uncomfortable. You know, the easiest way is to avoid a situation and not leave the house. And I think a lot of people do that and they don't go into situations where they're uncomfortable. What if everything makes you uncomfortable? Because that's what kind of happened for me. You know, and it does happen a lot where they'll just get so overwhelmed, and like I did today, I'll have racing thoughts and, you know, really negative thoughts, and they just won't give up. They keep coming and coming. You know? And you know, the worst thing for me is like when people label you a certain way because of how you acted in a highly stressful situation. You should have done this and I would have done this. That's what gives me the most shame anyway. One second. You know, when someone's threatening you or squaring up to you, usually when there's more of them than there is you, and you just get really overwhelmed, and if something were to actually happen, you'd probably be alright because instinct might kick in, but I always hated myself because of that, you know, because my reaction would be to freeze up. And then I looked at why. It's because it was made to, you know, I was conditioned that way. We talk about conditioning, like strength and conditioning, but same thing can be said when you're conditioned to behave a certain way. Even more so, I'd say. What I mean by that is, I was told, no, that's wrong when you fight back. I was selectively mute as a kid. My parents will deny that, but I was. I could talk to them, okay, you know, certain people in my family, but there was a lot of people I couldn't, and strangers in particular. Hated talking to strangers. Hated going into the shop, hated making a phone call. It was just too overwhelming, you know. But through working on it and working on myself, I got there. Say gradual exposure, but no, it was a deep dive, straight into the deep end head first. And that can go one of two ways. Unfortunately, a lot of times what happens is people just isolate or withdraw. I get it, you know, it's too uncomfortable. Many times I wanted to, but I just didn't. You know, and there were literal situations where I thought, you know, obviously it wasn't true, but you feel it at the time. You can't put a word on it and you feel like you're gonna die. I felt like I was. I thought, like, I'm going to fucking die here. I can't breathe, and shallow breath, you know, and really dry mouth. I was thinking, fucking, I just feel so uncomfortable right now. And when you've committed to something, that's the harder part, because, and this is where I think a lot of people avoid the fear and shame of it, because they don't put themselves into that situation, so they never have to feel it. I see a lot of people like that. If you're one of the people who can actually push through it, it's an added strength, believe me. But today, just don't want to sound too dramatic, you know, but been doing a lot of ruminating, and that often happens when I'm in a bad mood, you know, a low mood. Just keep replaying the past and repeat, you know. And how many, you know, let me know, because I know a lot of you do it as well. Let me know in the comments anyway, if you do it, because I fucking do. You know, where I'll just think, oh my god, you know, you should have done this, you should have done that. And a lot of people would agree that's never the right way to approach it, but try telling to this yoke when it's replaying it all. And it's usually when other people are involved, you know. Oh, he said this to you and you did nothing, and it kind of like, I've already got enough going on, you know, to be worrying about words. Enough shit that goes on in my mind already, you know. And so many people tried to wind me up that if I spent every minute getting angry at it, I wouldn't function. And I know, because that's what I did. And they know that they'll be able to wind you up and be able to get a reaction out of you. That's what they're looking for. When you actually don't give it, they get bored. But I never believed that if someone's physically doing something, by all means, do something back. I never beat myself up about that, you know. I only beat myself up that I didn't do it more often, but at least I learned, because people can get stabbed, they can get killed, you know, if they react in a certain way at the wrong time, with the wrong kinds of people. So you have got to be very careful. And I've seen people who are, you know, far better and more capable of sticking up for themselves than me, say the same thing. If they've got a knife or whatever, run. A blade doesn't discriminate, you know. You can watch all the Jackie Chan movies you want. Or Jean-Claude Van Damme. Saw a really creepy, you know, mashup where it was Jean-Claude Van Damme, and it was Bam Margera mixed with Van Damme. But I often wonder, you know, why the fuck did I get cursed with this shit? Because it's annoying. It doesn't benefit you in any way, you know, and I can't stop it. It just happens. As I was doing my breathing exercises, I was taking a moment today, and it kept festering and getting worse. And I'll be honest with you, like, I was gonna go into the toilet in Gorey shopping centre, and I was just gonna bawl my eyes out, you know, because I had so much pent up frustration. And there's always something in me that always stops me from doing it. Don't know what it fucking is, but it annoys me. Sometimes I think if I just lost it in front of everybody, they'd realise there's always something that pulls me and stops me doing it. Maybe that's a good, or maybe it's a bad thing, but I keep it all together. Make it look like everything is fine when it fucking isn't. And I'll be honest with you, I think if I was more obvious, people would give me more empathy, more compassion. I feel ashamed of acting that way because I'm being pitied now, I'm seen as lesser than everybody else, so can't fucking win. And you do see all this stuff out nowadays, and how to be a good man and not a nice guy and all this shit, and people talking a lot of crap to big themselves up. And it does make you feel like, you're inferior, you're weak. But it all comes from just, being... Basically, people are allowed to do and say what they wanted to me as a kid, and no one ever really defended me. No, it sounds like a real woe was me story, I get that, but you don't realise it's different until you talk to other people. You think it's normal, but it fucking isn't. Like, I don't know how I got labelled the angry kid when people are literally going out of their way to wind me up. They're trying to piss me off, and then I get pissed off. But I'm the angry one. I'm the aggressor. I'm the one that has to attend anger management and all that stuff. It just baffles me. Like, I would literally try to walk away so that I was safe from people annoying me, and they would follow me, start poking me and, trying to hit me. I'd smack them, they'd start crying, and then I'd be reprimanded. My parents never really stood up for me. They were too afraid of conflict. Which I'm sorry, but it's not good enough when you're a parent. When you have adults speaking down to you like you're scum, that's so fucking demoralising as a child. And what it does is it basically just goes, no matter what you do, you're in the wrong. So then you dissociate. I've talked about that before, but today it was just really fucking painful. You fucking think you're getting over it. You think all of it's behind you, and it's not. You just cannot fucking win. And I've tried, to stand up for other people, even though I could barely look after myself. Ended up happening was I got more fucking abused for it. And rarely was the same thing done for me. Sadly. And at a certain point, I do think look after your friends. Just hold that thought while I pick some of these. Where was I? I was picking a few of these. They look like they're gonna be alright, but fuck's sake. Nah, they're all mushy. That one might be alright. Not bad. But I have a very hard time sticking up for myself, I'll usually let things just brush off me, because I'll get so anxious that I'll just, even if I know I can physically take the person, I get afraid and I feel like, you fucking pussy, grow up here. A few blackberries. Just trying to distract myself while I gather my thoughts, if that makes sense. But it's exhausting, it's fucking exhausting, and the reason why I'm so annoyed with it is because I'm doing all the right things. I'm not drinking, I'm taking my medication, the one that I'm prescribed. When I feel drowsy, I'm given another medication. Rory Byrne, I'm starting to side with you more and more every day, because I feel shit in the mornings. I don't feel great at all. Not really groggy. That's why I take the Provigil stuff, but I don't know how good that is. I don't know if it brought on this episode or made it worse. I've listened to doctors long enough now, and I'm kind of fucking getting sick of it, because it's still happening. And I can't fucking help it. No matter what I do, it always fucking happens. You can't concentrate because it's so overwhelming. It's just really weighing me down. And I'm 52 days today, I'm staying off it. I want to talk to these lads, actually. That always helps. Hey fellas, you help me out? How you doing? It's the crack. You all good? Yeah, having a bad day too. Hello. Coming over? I'll leave you be, don't worry about them. I used to pop in and say hello to them. I always like chatting with them. Does it? I think that's it as well, I was never allowed to be myself. I'm not this ultra macho guy, but I had to be because I was big, which is very annoying. My dad never looked out for me or defended me. He was just, oh, you're a big lad, you can deal with it yourself. I can't tell you how terrible a thing that is to say to a kid, especially one who's, autistic and more vulnerable, more at risk of being bullied. Sure, just go and deal with it yourself, you'll be fine. Great fucking advice. Doesn't work. And I was always able to, stand up for myself physically, but the names do fucking hurt when everyone's saying it to you. And instead of kind of acknowledging it and going, no, you did not treat my kid that way, my parents just kind of denied it, denied it was happening. If me and my brother were kids and we'd say something out of turn, I would say, just make a comment about someone without even giving it much thought. The teeth would be gritted and saying, don't you fucking say that and whatever. Because they were afraid they'd have to deal with it. I know that now because, well, my dad's told me pretty much. Sure, he basically just left me to get my mind fucked by my granddad and auntie. People can't wait too fucking fast. See him coming, you can see another car, but he just keeps flying. Stood where I was, and then I was kind of like, am I going to get run over here? I was driving today and I decided to do a few more lessons because I'm not quite confident enough yet, to do the actual test. and I was kind of embarrassed about saying it, but I'm saying it now. Just FYI. But yeah, didn't know how I was going to be in work today, you know, and yeah, I always just thought, you know, if I fucking had a breakdown in work, if I just lost everybody, or if I just broke down in tears with people, kind of realise how bad everything is. And then you're like, you can't hold it together, you know, you're pathetic, you're weak, Just imagine that fucking playing on repeat every day about every decision. You know, and then all this advice you're getting, you know, I go to say something on my mum's behalf because she's not great with conflict, my brother's behalf, and I get screamed at for it when I'm only trying to fucking help and do what they're too afraid to do. And look, yeah, it might be awkward, but at least go, look, I appreciate that the thought was there. They don't. And I've done that out of, you know, like I always forget where I came from, you know, like I grew up pretty quick, like in a short period of time. I went from being in secondary school, age 13, not even being able to get on a fucking bus myself. And I kind of think, you know, maybe my mum and dad should have just done the run with me, you know, gotten on it with me and shown me. Might seem like, you know, I'm a simpleton or they're treating me like a simpleton, but I do kind of think they went the opposite way in a lot of ways. My mum asked me, like, you know, why didn't you tell me you hated playing rugby so much? And I was there, like, because I thought I had to do it. You know, everything was stressed. That's kind of what I'm getting at here, you know, because she didn't know where she was ever going to, and she then say, I have to drive you out here every weekend, and I just said to her, you know, we can go home if you want, because I'm already too fucking stressed, I don't want to play a game now. And she was like, no, we're going now. But I was like, I got up at the crack of dawn to bring you to your games, and I was like, didn't want to fucking play half the time. I did it just to impress everybody else. And you know, I never celebrated the fact that it was an achievement just turning up. Never mind being one of the best players on the team, which I was, and you know, you can ask my coaches. A lot of people will back me up. I'm fucking worn out, to be honest. So fucking worn out. Because I'm doing all the right things. I guess you could say, like, if you were drinking, look, fair enough. Or you're taking class A drugs or class B even, because weed's not the be all and end all, like people say. Now I can't fucking do any of that stuff anyway. I can't drink either. But fucking feels tempting at a time like this, you know. Many ways, like, you know, and me and my brother were joking about it yesterday. You know, about things my mum and my aunties have said about mentally ill people. That they'd be better off dead, which they have said. And I just said, well, what about if me and Sam got very unwell? Would we be better off fucking dead? Because that's what you start thinking. You can say it's a throwaway comment, that's what you start looking at. But I'd be better off fucking dead. Some days it fucking feels it. You know, at least I've got stuff to fucking keep me going, but for how long, I don't know. I guess it's a good thing that I've got the doctor coming up. No, like, I mean, I was in a cafe today, Insomnia and Gory, if anyone knows it. I love that place. You know, I really love it. It's one of my favourite spots to go. Drinking or not drinking. And they were saying something about me, you know, and I was like, my family have said I can go across as blunt or rude, so I was like, look, I don't mean to be, but I'm fucking autistic, so, you know, I don't mean to be blunt or rude. But they kind of smiled and just went, "You're not, don't worry." No problem at all. And I was like, oh, okay. Don't know if I'd be able to go back anytime soon because of the fucking embarrassment, but anyway, at least what they said to me was that I hadn't done anything wrong. Hope they were gossiping about me behind my back, but I guess what they think of me is none of my business. That's a tool that people use. Yeah, you know, I couldn't bring it together. I gave myself a moment, you know, and I took a deep breath and I got myself prepared to say what I was going to say, and that's the best advice I can give if you're like me, you know, and things just build and build. Take a moment to assess the situation. Now, what I used to always get from my mum and people I was working with was, why you just fucking standing there? And I'm just saying, because if I assess the situation better, I'm going to be a lot fucking better to everybody than if I just go bullheaded, not on what I'm doing, and just act on impulse, like a lot of people do. Because you freeze, you know, because you're like, okay, what does everybody need? And but you're an easy fucking target for people to take their anger out on you, which they fucking do. God forbid you ever say anything back. You know, and saying a note like poor conflict resolution skills, I've done a lot better than some people who weren't going through half the shit that I was going through. And yet I was able to calmly defend my case, you know, and call people out the correct way without just fucking screaming at them, bullheaded. Which a lot of them, they weren't able to do it. But hey ho, here we are. Even though I was absolutely breaking it a lot of times, I still summoned up the courage to look out for other people, you know. I didn't fucking think. But I did it on behalf of other people, even though I was shitting myself doing it. Because I knew it was the right thing to do. And it's not appreciated, ever. People just fucking condemn you and say everything you do is wrong. See an insomniac up there. Don't worry, it won't trigger a flashback. a joke. But, yeah, best advice I can give if you get in that situation is take a moment, because you're not used to anyone. You know, you're in that fight or flight moment. And I used the example when I was at a garage with my cousins, and you know, my brother was getting aimed at. I didn't just rush out, I waited, took a deep breath, thought about what I was going to say, and then went out and was like, what's the issue? They damaged the car. No, they didn't. You know, real calm, almost starky. It was much better than if I just ran out, because I would have been like pausing, you know, and the nerves would have got to me. So yeah, take a moment. Like, compose yourself. It's probably the best way I can put it. It's true. Probably the best word I could use, actually. Compose yourself. But also know that it's not your fault. You're feeling this way because you're feeling this way. I know we can all wish we'd react like other people, but we fucking can't. As much as we wish we could. Unfortunately, it's a very here and now situation. Some people are just programmed to react in a more socially acceptable way. But don't beat yourself up over it, because you're not alone. I do, you know, I react that way from time to time. You know, in work it's different because you got to get along with people, you know. if you want to keep your job anyway. If you're leaving and you couldn't be bothered, then by all means, go out kicking and screaming. But yeah, it was just a fucking real kick in the teeth, you know. Didn't feel good, but I got through it, and you know, I managed. So I think I'll leave it on that anyway. Don't know what else useful I'm going to say, but let me know if anything resonated with you. I'd love to hear it. You know, and advocate for yourself, you know, build up these skills, because letting the fester will just make you ill. You know, it'll make you sick. You gotta get it out. It's not good for anyone. Alright, I'll leave it there, guys.